Okay, so back to Priscilla that I was talking about in part 2 of today's journal, January the 29th, 2014, is that Priscilla does not have a loving energy field around her, or any kind of loving field around her, other than me, to the extent that I can create that. And a lot of times I create a lot of stress, and I feel pretty responsible and guilty about that. I'm kind of convinced that my family has already basically killed 2 people from stress. My brother's wife, one of my brother's wives, I have 2 brothers, and one's wife died when she was in her 40s of cancer, and my sister, who I'm not getting empathy and understanding from, as I try to email her recently, her husband died of cancer, I think in his 30s or early 40s. And I don't know, maybe Priscilla's eventually going to get cancer. But something obviously now is very, very wrong with her body. And it makes sense to me that it's the result of extremely excessive stress over her life. These last years that we've been together, 3 or 4 years, for going on 5 years now, actually it'll be 5 years this October, I think, have been at times very, very stressful, and she hasn't had anyone to talk to on a consistent basis to share all her painful feelings. I do believe it helps a lot to just simply let our painful feelings out to someone, and that's what I said in my voice recording from yesterday. That's what Priscilla needs, is just someone to talk to so she can express herself. So I'm going to try to, as much as I can, I guess, to try to create that loving field around Priscilla. So back to my notes, just in case I didn't say it before, what I wrote down was we come up with the idea of a loving, beneficent force, or divine or universal energy or something, when we're not getting the love we need from other human beings, starting out with our parents. Now I have some notes about Judith Orloff, Orloff, very new age person who's making a lot of money. Here's one of my questions. Why doesn't she give away her books? She seems to be quite wealthy now financially. Also, why does she have so many exclamation points on her website, which is Dr. Judith Orloff.com, I believe. Okay, the next note is Priscilla is very skeptical. She needs something that works with her. In other words, she's not going to buy into something that doesn't make sense. And for her, the New Age stuff doesn't make sense. Like someone saying your relationship with the divine, or your relationship with the universe, or with God is more important than your relationship with your family, or your partner, or your children. So several people have told me that your website is the one that makes the most sense, or the only one that makes sense. And that's what she needs, something that makes sense, that fits with her intelligence, let's say, her thought system and her belief system. Okay, so then I have a note, which I think I already talked about, but I wrote down here, it's more helpful and more important to communicate with the living. And that's it, in a reference to Yvonne Perry, who I think I already mentioned. Now I have another note, Judy, i.e. Judith Orloff, and she calls herself Judith, like Dan Goleman calls himself Daniel, I think to try to feel more important. Anyhow, she didn't get her needs met for acknowledgement, recognition, importance, and value. So that's why she's trying to fill those needs by giving herself a lot of titles. If you look at her website and even her the descriptions of her on the Huffington Post, you see that she calls herself an intuitive, a medical doctor, a assistant professor at UCLA, which, by the way, she's not actually paid faculty at UCLA. Something I plan to do something about, to try to let people know that she is a volunteer at UCLA. I confirmed this with her and with UCLA. I feel misled, and I feel pain from the fact that she is using UCLA's reputation to try to help fill her needs for acknowledgement and feeling recognized and important, feeling credible. She admits basically that her family didn't take her very seriously when she was young, and then she apparently was invited to UCLA when she was a teenager to take some psychic test in some kind of, I think they called it parapsychology department back at the time. This was like in the 60s, I think. And apparently some professor thought that she was like a little psychic genius or something and invited her to come work at UCLA or something in their paranormal psychology department or something. And if you read about that lady on Wikipedia, you'll see that she was into things like studying ghosts. So yeah, I feel a little skeptical and cynical about the whole thing. That, if I didn't say it now, that department no longer exists at UCLA, but Judy is still trying to get some credibility from it all. Okay, I'm going to stop this now. Thanks for listening.